Happy Sunday, boys and girls. I'm Miss Lindsay, and I'll be bringing you your lesson today. Happy Mother's Day to all you mamas and spiritual mamas. We hope you have a wonderful day. So as I was praying for you guys and asking God, what should I tell the kiddos? He reminded me of just how many changes have gone on since we last met. And I was wondering, are you missing your family members? Are you missing your school friends? Going to the park, going to the library, going to school, your homeschool group, field trips? I just started thinking about you, and I want you to know I miss my family members too. I miss being with my Nana, going to the library with my kids, and just going to places that we used to get to go to. So I want you to know that even though we've gone through a lot of changes, God knows all about it, and He wants us to talk to Him about it. So can we take 10 seconds to just be still and be quiet and tell God just some of the things that we've been missing? And adults, this may be helpful for you too. So I'm going to be really still. God, thank you for listening to us. God, sometimes we miss being with our friends and our family. We miss all of the wonderful things we got to do, maybe go to our favorite jumpy place or the library or outside at the park. And God, thank you for knowing all about these changes. Thank you for listening to us, and we love you, God. Amen. Well, boys and girls, I'm so proud of you for being honest with the Lord and telling Him just things that you miss. And I want to remind you that it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to not know what to say sometimes. But God loves it when we're honest with Him and we can tell Him exactly what we feel. So just wanted to remind you of that. Well, we're going to be learning about a young man with some difficulties. He accepted what God and his parents told him to do, and where God and his parents wanted him to be. And he had 7 older brothers. They were taller, stronger, and definitely older than him. But unfortunately, he was not the tallest. He was not the strongest. He was the youngest. He wanted to be a warrior, but his dad wanted to be a shepherd. Can you guess who we're talking about? If you guessed David, you're right. Last Sunday, we learned that King Saul was the king of Israel, and God had rejected Saul. He did not obey God. So Samuel, the prophet Samuel, was sent by God to anoint Israel's next king. And where do you think he led him to? David. He led him to the house of Jesse, and God led him to all the brothers, and he went one by one by one, thinking, is this the next king? Is this the next king? And God said, nope, not him. Nope, not him. So in 1 Samuel 16, 6 through 12, we learn that Samuel was looking on the outer appearance, but God was looking at the heart. And God led Samuel straight to David because God knew David's heart. He knew that David loved God and obeyed God and did everything he wanted him to do. So Saul anointed David as king. Well, in 1 Samuel 17, 12 through 15, we learn that David was a shepherd for his dad. He wanted to be a warrior, but his dad wanted to be a shepherd, so he was very obedient. The Bible tells us he protected the sheep from bears and lions with his bare hands. That shows us he was a dedicated shepherd, willing to put his life on the line for those sheep. He was hardworking and he was very strong. So let's see what David did, even though he was the smallest, the shortest, the youngest. Well, he accepted how God made him. He accepted his age. He wasn't as old as his other brothers. He accepted that he was a shepherd, even though he wanted to be a warrior. And he knew that that's what God and his dad and his family wanted him to do. He chose to be the best shepherd he could be. David was a hard worker, doing what God had called him to do. He was really practicing a verse, Colossians 3:23, and you may have heard of this before. Whatever you do, work with all your heart, as if you're doing it for the Lord. And what a great lesson that is for us. Well, since David accepted where God had him, and since David chose to work hard for God, he was able to hear God's voice right where he was. Even with the sheep, the stinky, smelly sheep, he was able to hear God. So God used his surroundings to speak to David right where he was. God blessed him, and he comforted him, and he spoke directly to David's heart. David had a close relationship with God right where he was. David was so amazed by God and what God had told him that in response, David would write songs to God, to worship God, right there taking care of the sheep. He wasn't on the battlefield, not yet, but he was taking care of the sheep because that's what God and his family wanted him to do. He accepted where he was at his age, and he learned a very important truth about God that is still true today, that God will help me even when I'm young. I'm not as young as you, but that's okay. He will help you too because you're young, even when you're young. You may not be as old as your older brother or sister. You may not be as old as your older neighbor or cousin, and that's okay. God can help you no matter what age you are. And David learned that at a very young age, and he had a wonderful relationship with God. So David was honest with God, and he spent time praying with him and talking to him. And as a result, David wrote 73 songs. He may have written more, but we have 73 songs in the book of Psalms. That's almost half of the book. He had a lot to tell God and to tell him thank you for all the things that he saw God do in his life. Well, here's a video of one of David's most famous songs that he wrote to God, and you may recognize it.
The Lord is my shepherd. Psalm 23.
This is one of King David's songs about God. The Lord is my shepherd. He gives me everything I need. He lets me lie down in fields of green grass. He leads me beside quiet waters. He gives me new strength. He guides me in the right paths for the honor of His name. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid. You, God, are with me. Your shepherd's rod and staff comfort me. You prepare a feast for me right in front of my enemies. You pour oil on my head. My cup runs over. I am sure that your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in the house of the Lord forever.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Did you recognize the song that you heard, Psalm 23? You were able to hear how David the shepherd looked around him and was able to connect with God in a unique way, just right where he was, and how God really ministered to his heart, being a shepherd, exactly where he called him to be. And I hope you can accept that too. Wherever you are, God can speak to you right where you are. So in this lesson, we saw how Samuel anointed David as king, and how David was a very hard worker as a shepherd and a musician. And let's remember that strong biblical truth that still is not changed, that God will help me even when I'm young, no matter what age you are. And just like David accepted where God had him, even if we're at home, not with our school friends, not with our family, or not being able to go to different places, we can accept where God has us right where we are. And God can allow us to choose to accept that and to choose to do what God tells us to do really well, just like David did. We can be a hard worker at whatever we do. We can choose to work hard for God, and as we work hard for God, He's going to speak to us. He's going to bless us. He's going to comfort us. He's going to use your surroundings to speak to us and show us how wonderful He is. So if it's obeying your parents, being nice to your brothers and sisters, obeying right away, doing the right thing, God sees that, and He will honor that, and He will bless you. So I hope you get to hear some new things about God this week that maybe you never knew about. Be sure to check out our videos and lessons on our Newbridgechurch YouTube channel, and on the playlist, the student ministry playlist. You can see all the videos we posted there, as well as the links are on our Facebook page. And to all you boys and girls, thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for joining me in this lesson. And to all the mamas out there, happy Mother's Day. Hope you have a wonderful day. And remember, friends, as the Lord shows you something new about Himself, just like David, he wrote down songs. Jot it down. Jot down what the Lord shows you. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day.